Hello and welcome back to another video in my ongoing series in which I am developing a pixel art editor using my own custom C++ GUI framework based on OpenGL. In the last video I showed you we've got the basic pencil tool working, we've got some drawing on the canvas, but in the last week I've actually got all these drawing tools working, so I'll run through those and show you what else I've added. So the drawing tools, if I just expand the side, make them see them better. We've got pencil, which is a normal pencil tool. We've got an eraser. We've got a colour picker, so that's eyedropper. We've got a colour swapper. We've got flood fill, spray can, straight line, a single control point curve line. We've got hollow rectangle, solid rectangle, hollow circle, and filled circle, and all these are working. And of course we've got the normal palette editing on the right hand side, which you've seen in many videos. So we'll just reduce that. And of course we've got the colour ramps, which you've already seen as well. Just if you didn't know, we can group any of these palette colours into colour ramps and use them to specify grouped colours for more advanced drawing options, but we'll come back to that in a later video. Okay, so we're done with that side frame at the moment. So we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 default square brushes. That's from single pixel up to 16 by 16, and we have got 5 circular brushes built in. So if you select a brush, there we go, we'll go with a nice circular one. There we go. It'll display in the current primary colour. So this is your primary colour, that's for your left mouse button. This is your secondary colour, which is for your right mouse button. And we've also got transparency. So transparency is treated as a separate colour. So you've got 256 colours in the palette, up to 256 colours, and transparency is a separate colour outside of that range. And to select colour, you just select it in the palette with your left or your right mouse button, and it will change. Or we just click on that transparency there to set transparent. So what can we do? So pencil is just, as it says, it's just a normal pencil colour. So we'll just draw a continuous line in your current pencil colour. We've got the transparency set at the moment for our right mouse button, so if we hold down the right mouse button we get the background checkerboard layer showing through. So that's a quick way to erase. So that's self-explanatory. Let's get a big brush. We have got eraser, which is basically the same as just drawing with transparency sets, so you can use that without changing your colours that you've selected. We've got the eyedropper tool, which is used to set your primary or secondary colour to whatever's under the mouse. So we click on left mouse button on the background. There we go. It says that that colour is 119, which I believe is that one there. Yes. We can change the background, the secondary colour. Let's try nice red. There we go. And that's changed that one too. So that's pretty standard. I'll change those back so you can see them. Colour replace. So this will replace whatever colour is under your mouse button to whatever colour you press. So if we do left mouse button on the white background, it will replace all of those colours with red. There we go. And of course, right mouse button, change it to that one. And we can also do it with transparent. So there we go, we've masked out the character because the background was all one single colour. Undo. That was quite smart. Flood fill is your basic flood fill. We can do that with transparent if we wanted to. Notice it's missed out the enclosed areas because it's just a normal flood fill. Gradient flood fill will be coming, and also brush fill. At the moment we just got normal solid colour. So there we go, we can change the background for whatever we want. Spray can let's choose a smaller brush for that. This is just a normal spray can tool. It'll spray whatever you have set, so your brush and your colour, using your left or your right mouse button. So left mouse button, we should have a red, there we go. Nice. Right mouse button, yeah, right blue. Of course, if we use transparency, we can set it as transparent. When we've got custom brushes, all these tools will also work with custom brushes, so you'll be able to spray with a custom brush, but we'll get rid of that at the moment. We've also got a couple more options for the spray can in these draw options panel. We can set the radius up to 128, I believe, so there we go, radius is a lot bigger. And we can set the density up to 32. There we go. It will cover a lot of space very quickly. We've changed the brush down. There we go, look at that. That's pretty good. So we'll just reduce the density down to 1. It sprays quickly because it runs so quickly. Every frame you get 1 pixel, but 1 brush, but it's running 60 frames a second. So what else can we do? Auto rotate. So if you notice, let's just reduce that down to something a bit more sensible. We're using a square brush there, make it nice and bright. So when we spray once, all the brushes are square. If we turn on auto rotate, every time we spray, every brush will get a random angle. So there we go. So that's going to be useful when you've got a custom tool, a brush, such as a leaf or some grass or a bush. Every time you spray, the angle of the brush will change, and you'll be able to basically draw foliage and things like that with very little effort. And of course we can undo that. So that's spray can. Now, straight line. Okay, one of the things I don't like about pretty much every modern graphics package or pixel editor is you have to hold down the mouse button when you are drawing shapes and lines. I've gone for a different approach. You press once to set the origin, then you let go of the mouse button and you can just drag wherever you want. As you can see, we get a inverse or negative preview, so that's exactly the pixels that will be drawn over when you set your line, and it uses the shape of your current brush, so you know exactly what pixels are affected. So when you're happy with where the line is going to, you just press the left mouse button again to draw with the left colour, the primary colour, and if you get to the end and press the right mouse button, it will draw with the secondary colour. So there we go. So one of the benefits of that is if we zoom in and we want to draw a line while zoomed in, as you can see, you even get the exact pixel representation when you're zoomed, which is good. So now in a normal paint tool you have to hold down the left mouse button and then somehow pan the image. Here I've got no mouse buttons held down. I'll just hold down space and move the image to where I want the end point to be. As you can see, it's updating on the left in real time. And when I get to the end point, I just click, and there we go. It's a lot simpler and a lot easier on your fingers, and I think it'll be a lot more useful for people using graphics tablets, because having to maintain pressure on the nib and all that stuff. And I just like it. I've always thought that holding down the mouse button is a bit weird. Yeah, so that's a line. We've also got curve line. It's very much similar to just straight line. So we just left click to set the origin, right click to set the end point, and then just move the mouse to define the curve anywhere you want on the screen. When you're happy, left click or right click to set the line. So yeah, it's only single point control. I always find the 2 or 3 point Bezier curves are very confusing and make your head scratch. You have to get used to them. But you can do S curves using this, just do 2 separate curves and that'll be no big issue. What I quite like is the negative view behind, which shows you exactly where your pixels will be placed. And of course this runs at 60 frames a second with no issues. Okay, so we have got empty rectangle. Notice the nice crosshair that'll show you your origin point. When you zoom in, this crosshair will show you exactly the pixels you are placed on, which is cool. We'll keep it zoomed in for a second. So again, left click to set your origin point, and you can move freely anywhere you want, and just then left click again to set the end point, and that's your empty rectangle. If we undo that, and if we hold down shift as we are dragging, it just becomes a square. And of course you can inverse it. There we go, your origin point stays locked. So that's how we do squares, and when you're happy, just press the mouse button. Filled is exactly the same. We get the outline of where your rectangle boundaries are, and just press. There we go, and as you can see, the outline follows the outline of your brush. Circle is very similar. Ellipses are not implemented at the moment, but circles are. Again, one of the annoying things on most modern graphics packages and pixel editors is, for some bizarre reason, circles are drawn from the top left, which is very weird. Here, circles are always drawn from your center point. So we click to set the center point, and then we drag out to set the radius. As you see, it's nice and smooth. When we get to this radius we want, it's shown at the bottom here what your current radius is. We just left click again, and that's your circle. And of course, filled circle is exactly the same. Boom, undo. Didn't think I showed you when we did rectangle. If you look at the bottom left here, it'll show you the width and height of your rectangle there. If you hold down shift, they should both be the same. There we go. So that's a quick way of showing, delineating the size of your rectangle. So that's all the basic tools done. They all work in real time. They all work with your brushes, and they all work with our draw tools and with dither. So you might have noticed the dither button there. So what is dither? Dither is just a, let's show you, a 4x4 grid where we can either have a pixel on or pixel off. And this is applied to any one of our brushes, including custom brushes when we have them. So we can dither to this dither pattern. So we can modify it in real time, just clicking the on or off. That's a very useless dither pattern, that's just a solid brush. But we've also got a selection of presets, including Bezier. So let's go to the standard checker. So we've got, let's go for the circular brush. So it's applied to any brush you have if you click the dither switch there. So undo. There we go. So that's a circle dithered. And of course you can change whatever dither you want. Let's do horizontal line, vertical line, and diagonal lines. We can invert it, and we can clear it and just do arrow. There we go. So it's just a 4x4 grid, but it's quite powerful, and it means we can do interesting effects because this dither can be applied to any brush, and of course we can draw with any brush. So that means we can do things like just select that and turn on lock. There we go. Now we have got CRT effect just on our main character, which looks pretty good. There we go. Probably won't show up on YouTube because of the compression, but as you zoom in, you can see we've basically got CRT lines. Now, what if you didn't want a solid colour? Well, if we go to colour mode, shade, and set that step to something a bit better, and go for full palette RGB. Now this is just simply shading the colours rather than just colouring them in. That's still dark, but as you can see, especially over the highlights, it's not actually just drawing one colour, it's just darkening what's underneath. So that is a very quick and easy way of dithering your image, just using whatever colours are in your palette. It shows it well there on the cape, look at that. So instead of one colour, it's just using shade. Actually, it does look like a CRT at this level, which is quite smart. And of course, if you didn't want that, we can just make it even bolder. There we go. That stands out a bit better, and you might be able to see that better on the left hand side. Oh, you can definitely see it there, look at that. So that's quite a quick way to make a normal pixel art image look quite stylized. Oh yeah, that definitely looked like a CRT if you thought to apply. So yeah, this is just a 4x4 grid, and it can be applied to everything. So we'll leave it as that one, that's quite bold. Works for erase. Don't forget I've got my target lock selected, so this background cannot be drawn over. So if I hold down the button now, it will just erase parts of the image that are under the dither. So you should be able to see sections really of the background. Can't really see it, so we'll change it to something a bit bolder. 50% check. You should be able to see background coming through there. Probably not, it's too fine, and the background is basically just grey. But trust me, the background is showing through. In fact, I'll just show you that by doing a really big dither there. There we go. It's got an interesting shape on. Anyway, you get the idea. So it works for every tool. Flood fill, let's just turn off. Let's just turn off that for a second and just flood fill the back. There we go. So you can fill with a dither. You can. There we go. So the dither's showing the background. We'll set it for transparent. You can fill with your other colour if you wanted to. You can spray with dither. So that's spraying. Oh, that's actually spraying with the dither and with shade mode. So getting shaded dither spray, very good. In fact, let's just lock the background again. And there we go, we can spray and dither at the same time and shade at the same time. Let's prove it's shading. If I hold in the right mouse button, it will highlight rather than darken. And that's highlighting a bit too much, but you get the idea. Works for lines too, as you would expect. And of course, let's just turn off shade mode. There we go, and we'll turn a nice brighter colour. And a bigger brush. Gonna need a bigger brush. There we go. Of course, I've got my lock enabled, so I'm only drawing on the main character. So it works for everything. It works for filled rectangles. This one looks quite smart. We use it to do a circle, filled circle. Let's dither on a filled circle. So yeah, so that's a quick way of basically making your 256 colours look like a lot more just by adding dithering. So in addition to the basic dithers, we have also got Bezier 4x4, and this has 16 levels, which you can set here. So basically you've got a graduated dither from 1 to 16. 16 is just a full square, basically. So if we do that, oh, let's turn off lock. There you go, that's the first level. If we go up a few, that's the second level. A bit more, you can go up some more. So, yeah, so you can basically have graduated dither fills like the classic Amiga games used to have, and it's just all automated. It's all using your brush shape, so you can just draw with the Bezier fill if you want. There you go, and because they're additive, or the pattern is additive, they blend in together. There we go. As you see, we'll graduate do that on the right hand side. So yeah, that's brushes. So if we zoom in, you'll see the brush. It looks quite nice. When you get something that needs crosshairs, you'll see exactly what pixels are affected. And we have got single click placement and anchor points and endpoints instead of holding in the mouse button, which means we can just scroll around as we are drawing things. Very useful. And of course we've got the negative there to show you exactly what pixels are affected. I think the most powerful tool here is probably the dither tool, which yeah, it leads to a lot of possibilities when basically you can set the pattern that your brush will use, and of course it will be used with custom brushes. So yeah, I hope that was useful. I hope you like my drawing tools and the way I've gone with them. I think the single click to set origin and endpoint is useful. I think a lot of people might find that a bit weird, getting used to holding down the mouse button and dragging. I just find it a lot quicker and a lot easier in my old age with my arthritic fingers to just single click. But yeah, that's basically all the tools done. The only thing left to do is fill options. So we've got solid fill and dither fill. I also want to add gradient fill and brush fill, so we can fill with a custom brush pattern, but that shouldn't be too difficult. I've broken the back of it, getting these 10 tools working. They all work in real time. They all work pretty well. Undo works. And it's got to that point now where it's just nice to actually just play about with. Like doing silly things like this. Oh. There we go. I'm just a child. But yeah, that is the level of complexity I was aiming for. This is, in effect, DPaint 3 for 2026. So I'm aiming for basic pixel editing. Well, it seems like basic pixel editing, but there's a lot of complexity in the background, so you can make some pretty good pixel art using very simple tools and effects. And onward and upward. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm at a happy stage now because the biggest part's done, my drawing tools. I'm going for the option of basically getting as many options on the screen in sensible places. So there will be menus, I just haven't put them in yet. Menus do work in my framework, I just haven't put menus in this app. But I don't want options hidden in menus, I want everything available on the screen for quick access, with lesser used options hidden in the right hand panel. And you might think, why is that gap there? It's because this portion of the area is actually scrollable. So if there's more option panels open at the bottom, you can scroll up and down. So yeah, I just didn't make a mistake. That is where the scroll bar is. So yeah, that's this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. Trying to grow this channel. Please let me know if you want any more tools added. If you think of anything that I've probably missed, or you think dither looks a bit stupid, or you want some more default dither options, or you want ellipses. Yeah, basically I'm adding stuff that I've always used. I never use ellipses in DPaint. I never use the text function in DPaint, and adding text is, yeah, complicated with getting true type finds and all that stuff working. So I probably won't have a text option. This is purely just pixel editing. So yeah, the next option is custom brushes, and then we'll see how they play with my draw tools. So yeah, I'm rambling now, so I must be at the end. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment. Come back for more. I'll probably release another video at some point, either this week or next week, as I carry on. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye for now.